Hello, good morning. I am so excited to be with you today. I am Kelly Hearn, and today we are talking about how to be a strong leader, even in your very first supervisor role. So, again, I am Kelly Hearn, and you are on the channel for Transitional Leadership, where I help individuals and businesses implement leadership and career skill development to foster a greater impact. And today, again, we are talking about making that impact by being an incredibly strong leader, even in your very first supervisor role. So, we are talking about when you are first promoted into leadership and answering that question that everybody wants the answer to. It's like the holy grail of leadership, especially in that first role. But almost nobody is able or willing to ask the question, and even fewer people are able to answer it. And that is, how do I get work done effectively through others? Because when you're in those individual contributor roles, you're probably a really good, strong contributor, right? You know how to do the work. You've been doing it so well that oftentimes that's why you're promoted into those leadership roles. But then how do we get that work done, that same work to that same caliber, or hopefully even better because we're working on a scale of a team and a larger volume of people? So, how do we get them to do the work the same way? How do we get that great work product through others? Now, I'm going to skip over the first two steps of this because honestly, you probably already know them and you're probably expecting me to start here. So, the first step is really knowing yourself, knowing your strengths and your dominant attributes, having a really good understanding of what you bring to the table as the leader. And again, if you're coming from that perspective of being promoted from a person who does the work really well to being the leader of that group, one of your strengths is going to be that you really understand what needs to be done and the best way to get that done. Dominant attributes is a little bit different. And I feel like this one gets just a little bit less press, but your dominant attributes are what you bring from a leadership perspective to the table, as like where you lean on first. So for some people, that's humility, that's understanding, that we need to get everybody's perspective involved. For other people, that's action or achievement. It could be reflection, where you're looking back on what happened previously, how the results actually played out in a similar situation in the past. Some people are really objective, others lean on connection, but all of those are the dominant attributes of leadership, or I'm sorry, all of those are the attributes of leadership. And whichever one is dominant for you is important that you know which one that is and which one you bring to the table. Like I said, that gets a little bit less press, what those dominant attributes are. And so if you're not sure which one of those is you, which one you really bring to the table, I have a quiz that I will link down below that you will be able to get a really clear understanding of that for yourself, and also how that helps bring out your best strengths and your weaknesses. So that would be step number two, I guess, of understanding your leadership and being a really strong leader, even in that very first role, is first your strengths and your dominant attributes, but then your weaknesses and your blind spots. And it's not useful to pretend that you don't have them. We all do. We all have blind spots and weaknesses that, we just need to be cognizant of the fact that they're there. We need to be aware of the fact that we have areas where we have gaps and we want other people to help us fill them, or we need to learn and develop and grow so that we are able to fill those gaps as well. Blind spots, we really need to rely on feedback from other people so that we can discover what those blind spots are for us. And like I said, that quiz to determine your dominant attribute is really going to help you with that, because it shows you not only what strengths that attribute can help you bring to the table, but also what weaknesses you might have as a result of it as well, because there's always a flip side to that coin. But to some extent, everybody's going to tell you that, right? Everybody's going to tell you that you should know yourself as a leader. You should know everything about you and how you're going to react in different situations so that you can bring your best to the table every time. And that's great. And that's important. Like I said, those are the first two steps. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that we need to go beyond that. Knowing yourself is great, but knowing how to take action and bring more to the table is really that next level. So if you want to come into that first leadership role and do okay, then know yourself. That's fine. If you want to come into that first leadership role or the second or the third, on and on up the ladder that you go, and you want to be great, you want to be amazing, then knowing how to get really good quality work done through others is the next step. That's what you need to know. That will take you from good to great. And so, how do we do that? How do we get work done through other people? I want to tell you a story. So, I was managing a team, and the overall goal of that team was to raise the bar on quality of work for everybody else in the department. For me, it was an incredibly worthwhile and fulfilling goal to have. Basically, how do we make everybody else better? How do we help raise that bar for the couple hundred people that we are working with? And so that was like the most critical thing that we talked about in every single team meeting, every single one on one was how do we raise the bar on quality and what can I do? What can you do? What can we do collectively to be able to do that? And I had a number of people on this team that were working towards that same goal, but I want to tell you about three of them in particular. One was Sheila. And Sheila was fantastic at what she did. She was really great, skilled in her work, had a lot of respect from those that she was working with. And her goal, what she wanted, was to be able to retire in the position that she was in. And what a great goal. What a wonderful place to be in your career that you have found your niche and you are doing it well, and you want to be able to retire from that spot. So, what did we do? We figured out a way to help her develop into retirement while maintaining that same goal of raising the bar for everyone that she worked with. And so we developed some specific action items and specific goals that would help support both her goal of developing into retirement and our goal of raising the bar for everyone around us. And that included documenting processes, providing training, coaching and mentoring other folks on the team and within the group that she was working with, because that would help her both raise the bar for them and share her knowledge so that we were all ready at the time that she would decide to retire. The next person was similar in the fact that she was really good at her work, but very different in that she was much more green to the role. So her name was Becca, and she did great work. She was a great asset to the team. And her viewpoint on development, her goals, as far as professionally, were to just keep moving up the ladder. Okay, so she was in a more junior role and she wanted to be able to move up to those more senior roles and then eventually up from there, maybe into leadership, maybe into something more technical. But really, it was just about taking each rung of that ladder. And so we talked about ways that she could fulfill that goal and raise the bar for the department, for the group that she was working with. And so that looked like understanding what that next more senior role would be and what that would entail, what she would need to do, and how she could develop action steps that would raise the bar and also get her to that next step. So whether it was analysis of the work, taking a deeper dive into working with vendors, developing presentations. What was it that would need to be done at that senior level that she could accomplish both goals kind of simultaneously? And then Jeff. Jeff was held a near and dear spot in my heart. He was also really good at what he did, And he was looking to take a little bit more non-traditional route. He wanted to skip a few levels. Honestly, he wanted to be me. He wanted to take my job, which is fantastic. Who doesn't want to be able to develop and train someone who wants to do what they do, but better, right? So that was a really fun one to work with. And Jeff and I did something very similar. We talked about what it would look like to raise the bar overall, both for those that he was working with today and those that I needed to work with. So I could bring him into meetings with me. I could have him work on different projects that I had assigned to me so that we could together take those different vantage points that we both had, leverage both of our skill sets, and get him to a point that he would be able to develop the greater whole that I was responsible for today in this example. And he could move that forward while also raising the bar for his specific group and the role that he was in at the time. So I'm hoping as I gave you those three examples, you saw that there were some similar themes, right? You have to understand the overarching goal. What is the big goal, the primary goal, the North Star? If you're following an OKR framework, it would be your North Star goal for the company or for the department. And how do each of those individuals' goals, how do Sheila's, Becca's, and Jeff's goals help facilitate that? How can we create key results that support both the overarching goal and their goal? For all three of them, they had very different individual goals. Sheila was thinking about, drinks on a boat and how does she get to retirement and do it in a really great and non-coasting type way. Becca was looking for a really traditional route where she just took rungs up the ladder and just knocked off one step every time. And Jeff was thinking outside of the box and thinking a bit bigger, and he wanted to be responsible for an even larger portion of that North Star goal or of that vision. And so for each of them, we could tailor make their goals and what results they were working towards to support that overarching goal. If you can do that, if you can take the big goal for your team, for your department, for your company, and match it with, help it align with the individual goals of the team that you're working with, that will inspire, motivate, and give them tangible things to work towards that help all of those people get work done through them, for you through them, right? Because it's not that they were going to do something completely individual. We had to find a way to bring those two goals together, both the goal for my team, the goal for the department, the goal for the company, but have it cascade in a way that supported what they needed as an individual. Because just, telling them to work towards a goal because it's a goal that you have isn't going to be enough. You won't be a good enough leader that they want to follow you into the fire just because it's you. I know that that's a hard truth to bear, but there has to be something in it for them. And there always is. It's up to you as the leader to find that connection. All right. I hope that this was helpful for you today. I hope that you are leaving here feeling inspired and you know how to work towards your goal by becoming the very best leader that you can be, even in those really early supervisor and manager roles. If you are interested in another example of this that speaks closer to my home and my own personal very first supervisor example, head over to the blog and you can get all the details there. You will find that link in the show notes as well. And if you got value from this, please like and share it with as many people as you know will get value from it as well. Hey, if they are moving into leadership roles or if they have aspirations of moving into leadership roles, what better channel is there for them? All right, have a great day and I will talk to you all soon.